So, what really separates a good product manager from a great one? I'll tell you what it's not. It's not just about managing backlogs or writing specs. Nope, it's all about the mindset. And today, that's exactly what we're going to build together. We're talking a complete toolkit of mental models that'll help you turn a good product into one people absolutely can't live without. All right, so here's the game plan. We're going to tackle this in 4 parts. First up, we'll get our strategy straight. Then, we're diving deep into the user's head, to figure out what really makes them tick. After that, we'll see how to connect all that user love to a real growth engine. And to wrap it all up, we'll package everything into a toolkit you can start using like tomorrow. Okay, let's kick things off with strategy. And look, I'm not talking about those fluffy, feel-good mission statements you see on a poster at some corporate retreat. No way. Real strategy, the kind that actually works, is about making the hard choices. It's about focusing on what really matters. So let's cut through all that noise, shall we? This quote really hits home. Let it sink in for a second. Bad strategy isn't just nothing. It's not a vacuum. It's an active problem. It's this messy combination of wrong ideas and, honestly, bad leadership habits that are actively wrecking your product's chances of success. And that's exactly why we need a super clear, disciplined way to think about this. So, what's the real difference here? Well, a good strategy gets specific. It's like, okay, our biggest problem is that we're losing users in the first week, so we're going to pour everything into fixing our onboarding. Simple, right? But a bad strategy? That sounds more like, our goal is to increase synergy and optimize user engagement across all platforms. You hear that? It's just fluff. One is a real diagnosis with a plan. The other is just a to-do list of buzzwords that sounds important but means nothing. And this brings us to this beautifully simple but super powerful framework called the kernel. Seriously, think of this as the operating system for your strategic brain. It's just 3 steps. First, the diagnosis. What is the one critical challenge that's holding you back? Not 10 things, 1. Second, the guiding policy. What's our big picture approach to tackle that challenge? And finally, coherent actions. What are these specific connected steps we're going to take to make it all happen? Want to see this in action? Let's look at the classic example, Steve Jobs turning Apple around. When he came back, the company was failing. But he didn't write some 100-page report. Nah. His diagnosis was brutally simple. We have way too many products and they're not great. His guiding policy? Let's just focus on making a few things insanely great. And the coherent action? Boom. He cuts 70% of the product line. Just like that. Diagnosis, policy, action. That's it. And, well, we all know how that turned out. It literally saved the company. Okay, so now you've got a sharp, focused strategy. Awesome. But let's be real. A strategy is just a bunch of words on a page until a real person actually uses your product, right? This brings us to our next big piece of the puzzle. How do we go from a great plan to a product that people can't imagine their lives without? To do that, we have to get inside their heads. So the first most basic question for any product is just, does it even work? And that's where usability testing comes in. It's simple, really. You sit a real user down, you give them a task to do with your product, and then you just watch. And yeah, it can be painful, like really painful, to watch someone struggle with something you built. But it is by far the fastest way to find and fix all the friction. This is what takes you from broken to, hey, this actually works. But here's the catch. Usable is just the price of admission these days. That's the bare minimum. In a world with a million apps all screaming for attention, how do you become more than just another icon on their home screen? How do you become a reflex? Create something that people don't just use, but that they actually miss if it's gone. The real question is, how do you build a habit? Well, the answer, or at least a big part of it, comes from this really powerful framework by Nir Eyal called the hook model. It's a simple, 4-step loop that pretty much explains how the most successful products create that automatic, unprompted engagement we all crave. A habit. Let's break it down. Just think about the last time you open Instagram or TikTok or whatever your thing is. It starts with a trigger, right? Maybe an external one like a notification, or maybe an internal one like just feeling bored. The action is ridiculously easy. You just open the app and start scrolling. Then comes the magic ingredient, the variable reward. You never know what you're going to get. Will it be a photo from a friend, a hilarious video? That randomness, that unpredictability is what gets you hooked. And finally, you make a tiny investment. You like a post, you leave a comment, you follow someone new. That little bit of effort loads the next trigger and makes the app better for you next time. And that's the loop. Trigger, action, reward, investment. It's the engine that drives modern user retention. Okay, let's take a breath. We have a focus strategy. We have a product that people are forming a habit around. Users are engaged. They're coming back. I mean, that's amazing. But how do we turn all that user love into a successful business? How do we scale it? That brings us to the growth engine. For the longest time, software was sold to you. A salesperson in a suit would give you a long demo, there'd be endless negotiations. It was slow and expensive. That's the old world of sales led growth. But today, the fastest growing companies do it completely differently. They don't sell their product, the product sells itself. This is product led growth, or PLG. Instead of trying to convince some exec in a boardroom, you just let millions of people try it for free. You let them feel the value for themselves. Now, PLG isn't some kind of magic trick. It needs a very specific recipe to work. For starters, the product itself has to be the main way you get new customers. It has to deliver value so fast that you don't even need a salesperson. That means your onboarding has to be buttery smooth. You've got to give users a way to experience it for free, like with a free trial or freemium plan. And behind it all, you have to be absolutely obsessed with data, always tweaking and improving the experience to get more people hooked. All right, let's bring it on home. We've covered a lot of ground here, from high-level strategy to the psychology of user habits, all the way to growth engines. So now let's package all of this up into 3 essential frameworks for your PM toolkit. First, you've got the kernel of strategy. Honestly, just think of this as your strategic compass. Whenever you feel like you're drowning in feature requests and everyone's pulling you in a different direction, this is what you pull out. Diagnosis, guiding policy, coherent actions. It brings you right back to what matters and forces you to stay focused. Next in your toolkit is the hook model. This is your blueprint for user habits and retention. It's how you go about designing experiences that aren't just easy to use, but that people actually crave. This is the secret to turning a casual user into someone who tells all their friends about your product. And rounding out our toolkit, we have product-led growth. This is your modern playbook for scale. It's the strategy that puts your actual product at the very heart of everything you do, from getting new users to keeping them happy to growing the business. So there you have it. The toolkit is yours now. The only question left is, what are you going to do with it? Think about your product right now. What's the single biggest, hairiest challenge you're facing? Is it a fuzzy strategy? Are users not sticking around? Is growth just slow? Take a moment, pinpoint that problem, and ask yourself, which of these tools are you going to pick up first to start fixing it?